Something strange is happening with the Odyssey's audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, a site that has long been criticized for not being quite so transparent and, dare I say, maybe even corrupt. Today, we'll show you what internet sleuths have found, and you decide, is Rotten Tomatoes bound and determined to save Christopher Nolan and pump up that audience score? Hello, folks, and welcome back. Happy Hump Day. It is Wednesday, and we are just getting started right here on the Pro Channel. Even more videos on the way, but first, this one today, it matters. Ever since Last Jedi, ever since Ghostbusters, and yes, I'll say it, after Captain Marvel, Hollywood has been working hard to make sure your voice cannot be heard. Is that happening now with Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey? Is it a giant psyop? And is it tricking right-wing influencers? Folks, smash that like button, and let's dive in. The Rotten Tomatoes score, the audience score for The Odyssey, might not be real. And by that I mean it may be jacked. Hijacked, they say, and it could have been just discovered in the code. Does this mean that all movies now are being used to trick audiences? Well, let's talk about it and explain. Mr. Obvious, at Obvious Rises out of X, posted a user hacked Rotten Tomatoes on the Asmongold subreddit and found the real review score for Christopher Nolan's film, The Odyssey, and discovered that out of 886 active users, only 498 rated it positively, leaving the true score at 56%. A score of 97% is mathematically impossible, and this is looking more and more like widespread fraud by the Hollywood industry on a massive scale. Now, note that we here on the Pro Channel are not reporting this as absolute truth. We're beginning to discuss this as it looks more and more likely, although not completely proven. It says, interestingly enough, 56.2%, which would be the audience score that's in the code on Rotten Tomatoes hidden from public view, apparently is not far from the Metacritic data, which has normal reviewers and has rated the film at 51%. Needless to say, despite the reported numbers, revenue, it's looking like smoke and mirrors. The film is being propped up to look like a success, but in reality is a cataclysmic financial failure, may not break even, which we've been saying $750 million is how much it has to make. All right, let's go now to the original post that has this. This is out of Reddit, and let's see, Geralt of Gunia is putting this on X, and it talks about the push versus pull. This is so complicated, but I'm going to try to walk us through this. It says, before 2019, and you all remember this was the response to Captain Marvel that they did, because they didn't like how you all voted for Captain Marvel, so they had to change it. Before 2019, Rotten Tomatoes used a pull mechanic. An unverified user had to actively decide to leave a review, log in or create an account, navigate to the movie page, and submit their ranking. After 2019, they shifted primary code and score to a push notification via ticket processors like Fandango. In other words, purposefully trying to get reviews from those who have already signed up via Rotten Tomatoes and Fandango to go see the film. Now, it goes on to talk about how in the code, apparently the code, and then it goes into great detail. It talks about going to viewing the page source code. It talks about looking for media-scorecard-JSON files. And it talks about, if you go down here, they say hidden in the code is the real score. It's 56.2%, but the website does not display that review score. So what does Rotten Tomatoes say? Folks, if we go to Rotten Tomatoes right now, 95% on the critic score, 97% on the audience score, 10,000 plus verified ratings, 97%. But we actually joined in to this adventure and we looked up the code. And although I am not a programmer and I cannot say with veracity that these reports are correct, I can tell you that looking at the code, it matches up with what these people are saying. And if what they are discerning from this is true, then Rotten Tomatoes may be obscuring a 56% score for this movie, and it begins to beg the question, are they hiding the other scores as well? Marv, I'll go to you first. You know, we support Criticless. I think Criticless is a great place. Metacritic is a great place. Yep. But Marv, if Rotten Tomatoes has set up a system, and I'm not saying it's illegal, it's not. I'm not saying it's illegitimate. But if they've manufactured a system that pulls off some really great scores for really important financial movies, this is a heck of a scandal.
Well, you think about it, Rotten Tomatoes was originally designed as a review aggregation platform to show you what people thought about movies online. Then it got bought by Fandango. And Fandango is a company that sells movie tickets. So now it has become a marketing vehicle to sell these films. And we've seen it repeatedly, when we've seen them repeatedly try to finagle the scores and whatnot. This doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. If you look at Critic List right now, which I always think is a great barometer of where people are, it's at a 49% on Critic List, which is a bogus score. And that's actually what I rated it on Critic List. So yeah, to me, this definitely feels like it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a decent score right now, but yeah, this is definitely something worth looking into more, because if Rotten Tomatoes has become a arm of a company that's designed to sell movie tickets, and two, the Hollywood studios that are looking to protect their films, well, then it's suddenly not for the people anymore. It's a propaganda machine.
I think you're exactly right. And part of the system that's being claimed is that Rotten Tomatoes now, they're achieving this by sending a notification to the phones of people who purchase these movies through Fandango, especially if they purchased their tickets early, like way early for Fandango, that they're waiting that, and they're sending this out to people to give their review score, knowing that those people are more inclined to give it a positive review. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but Lauren, when we see that Criticless has a 49%, we see Metacritic is right around that same place. And it turns out that if you look at the code for Rotten Tomatoes, it's around 56%. I think this is fascinating, Lauren, because it strikes me, maybe the whole internet is responding to kind of a giant psyop here. This idea that audiences love it, maybe a complete fabrication, and really this is a film that's got about half the folks liking it. Maybe. And everybody's responding because they don't know what to do, because they're believing Rotten Tomatoes, and hidden in the code is you shouldn't do that.
It's interesting because as you guys were discussing this, I was going into the background trying to research how they were analyzing the data and seeing what AI was saying about this reported hack. Now, I tend not to take these reports at face value, and my background is in IT, so I wanted to see what are the numbers that they're actually comparing here. I haven't had time to review it all entirely. AI is claiming that this is a false report due to the way that Rotten Tomatoes calculates scores, and is claiming that this isn't actually a review score that they are ranking here that is giving the 56%. They're saying the number that they're focusing on is representing the number of people who searched to submit a score. But my response to that is, why would you track that as a statistic for who searched? Especially if they're, you're right, I don't think it does, but I haven't had enough time to read what it's saying and analyze what the initial report was to be able to form an opinion yet. So I'll just say, I don't think that the current score on Rotten Tomatoes should be believed at all, but I'd also be careful about believing initial reports. Always, when this kind of thing is released, do your own research to determine how they're making the determination of what the scores should be.
Right. And we're not at the point where we can do this for 100% veracity. But Lauren, I did look into the claim that you're talking about this morning in researching a bit of this. And what it seems to be is that people are trying to go leave a review score. They get all the way through the process, and then they're being blocked because they're not verified as having seen the film via Fandango, and then their score doesn't count. Yep. That's what I think is happening here. And then AI is reporting on it because AI is getting both sides of this, from the corporate answer as well as the critic answer.
Yep, and that was basically what it looked like to me too, although I hadn't finished reading. My question still becomes, all right, why are you tracking the unverified users as a statistic if you don't use unverified ticket purchasers in your score? Why would you track that?
Carol, if this is the case, if they've been not manipulating, but they've created a system that gives them the best outcome for some of these movies, and it's wildly different than what we're seeing on the other websites. And if this is driving the commentary online, are you surprised that we made it this long? Like, this has been in place since 2019. Are you surprised it took this long for somebody to get into the code and go deep and be like, oh my gosh, the real score is in here and it's secret. They're not displaying the real score. Wait a minute, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, we've had that commentary for like a long time, but you don't even have to see the code to know that something's off. Because I was doing my own research, like Lauren was saying, but I did it in the form of looking at another movie. And for some reason, Woman King is rated at 99%.
That's a great film, I'm sure.
Well, that score has been colonized, obviously.
Yeah. So I was like, because it's kind of like, when I go to a Mexican restaurant, I usually like to, get a cheese enchilada to rate how the Mexican food is. And so if I want to take a look at how some of these movie places are rating movies, I go see how Woman King is doing.
So,
Fantastic.
Jonas, there is a lot of effort being put into saving this film. We've been talking about how the ticket sales, the actual butts and seats, slightly more than Mando and Grogu, shocking embarrassment for Disney. But the price of the tickets is 50% higher. Nobody in the mainstream is talking about that. So it's being presented as this massive win. And financially it is, but culturally maybe not. Now we're finding out that the review scores from audiences that are, a lot of the commentary class, they move with the wind. And so if they feel like, oh boy, this is really popular with audiences, they'll change their opinion because they want to be on the right side of the majority.
They do want to be on the right side of history on this one. And the word I'm going to use here is normalization. They really want for this movie to be normalized and the things that are in it to be normalized, to have the page boy and Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy and a diverse cast. To all of that to be, well, you're not normal if you don't say all of these things are fine. In fact, you're not normal if you don't notice. So I really think there's a bit of an op going on here. I see it. I'm my Twitter bio says I'm a culture noticer, and how dare we all notice things like that? Of course.
I mean, look, I think there's a reason why this movie is being as protected as it is, more so than almost any movie we've ever seen, more so than most Disney films even, because no woke virtue signaling movie has broken the $1 billion other than maybe like Barbie, right? If this can break the $1 billion with the race swaps and the Elliot Page and all of that, then all of a sudden it becomes the success story that proves that go woke, go broke is a dead concept, and that's not the truth. And the media is already running with that. The Hollywood media was ready to go hit the ground running Monday morning with the we won the culture war. We win, ladies and gentlemen. It's all over, and we won. We were right. We were always right. Look. And that's why this is happening. That's why this has to be protected. That's why this must be perceived as success at all time, in every conceivable way.
Marv, do you believe that these folks who are praising the film to the nth degree, because you didn't score it well, I gave it a 6.5. I think it's just meh. Do you believe that people are giving this rave reviews because it fits some sort of narrative, and dare I say, because there's an effort behind it to try to get it to that billion mark, whatever the cost might be?
I think it's possible. I think there are some people though that are just fans of Christopher Nolan, and they think that everything he does is wonderful, no matter what. I mean, there are people that like The Dark Knight Rises. And it's a terrible film.
What? But lots of that movie is good. It's just it falls apart a bit in the third act when they stole the "I can't get rid of a bomb" from the atom.
The most important part, you mean?
I can't get rid of a bomb.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. If he had said that while flying that bat over that water, I all would have been forgiven.
Well, they're trying to get rid of a bomb right now. Maybe not. I mean, this movie is not going to flop necessarily, but as Marv said, the effort is on to get it over the $1 billion mark, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. Folks, you tell us in the comments in the chat, do you think that Rotten Tomatoes has been caught finally, definitively? You go look at the source code. You go follow instructions on how to do it. You can verify it for us if you're an expert out there. Lauren is working on it as we speak. He's digging deep into figuring out, is this true, is it false? But one thing's for sure, folks, Rotten Tomatoes is way out there versus all the other aggregators of review scores. And it turns out some folks are saying you can find out what the real score is right there in the code. Well, it's been a good time. It's been a great time, folks. It's been a groovy time even. Keeping the Holly Weirds in line. We know them better than they know themselves. As we say goodbye, folks, please consider clicking that like button, drop a comment down below, and join the community dialogue today. Until the next time, we say it every time. Keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.